Welcome to Darth Tuba's Star Wars unboxing show. May the Force and the toys be with you.
Hello, Star Wars unboxing fans. Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Darth Tuba Star Wars Unboxing Show. I'm your host, Darth Tuba. And I am doing something new, something different. Something that I've seen other people do. I've watched videos about other people doing. And I finally decided, hey, I should do that. Or at least try it out. And I am going on an estate sale hunt. So this video will be the experiment, okay? I'm always looking for new resources, places to find collectibles to be able to purchase, to resell, or to add to my collection. And I've done the flea market thing, I've done the eBay thing, I've done the other auction house thing, but the one thing I have not done yet is an estate sale. Now, part of the reason for that is that I just didn't know how to do it. I didn't know what the process was. So I've kind of done a little research and watched a few videos. I love YouTube. Just little digress here. I love YouTube so much. I wish YouTube existed when I was in my teens, because you can learn how to do everything. You can learn how to do anything and everything. And any skill, from the basics, from cooking to fixing parts of your car to, the whole thing. It makes things seem so less scary, when it comes to figuring out how to do stuff. And, the internet has an evil dark side too, yes, but I believe that there's far more good than evil. And on YouTube, the things that you can learn how to do, it's just incredible. So, but I digress. Anyway. I want to check it out and see what these estate sale things are all about. So basically what I did was I signed up for a thing, estatesales.org or estatesales.net, and I did a search for Star Wars and a few local estate sales, just homes, probably homes that were owned by people that either need to get out in a hurry or they passed away and their next of kin need to sell it off, sell off the items. Have a bunch of items, and if there's somebody out there who was a collector, or maybe just kept their kids' collections or their own collections, and they're just going to put the stuff up. Now, I found 3. I don't know if this video is going to show just one, or if I'm going to wait until next week and release this later and show all 3. I don't know if I'm going to get to the next one, because I'm in the midst of my 10-day marathon, so this is a lot to be going out. But, I don't want to wait on it, because, again, I'm going to get to the fall, and things are going to be a little hard for me for this, when the school year starts, so I have to take advantage of the time I have. So there is an estate sale going on today. This is Friday, August 7th. And it's taking place in Piscataway, New Jersey. It's in a home in Piscataway, New Jersey, which is about 40 minutes from my home. So what I'm doing right now is if you can see in the back there, my big clear Disney bag. I got my packages from last night's sale going out to the post office. I am also making a donation. I'll talk about that in a minute. But after I drop this stuff off, I am heading to Piscataway, and I'll do it. I don't know if I'm going to film. I don't know how they feel about that. So this might be something where I just do a little bit of filming, kind of incognito, unless they really don't want me to do it, in which case I won't. And then I will, report back to you once I've done it. And now, I do know a little bit about estate sales, because I've actually conducted 2 of them, or rather, I've hired an estate sale company to do 2 sales. When my father-in-law passed away, he lived in South Jersey, and he had a very full house of stuff that I needed to unload. And I've mentioned it on the channel before. My father-in-law wasn't a collector of sorts. He was a liver of life. He bought his golf clubs, he bought his tennis gear, he bought his fishing gear, and he didn't rent anything. He just bought it and then held on to it. And then when he tools and every as seen on TV thing you can imagine, every NutriBullet and George Foreman grill and everything else. and he bought all of those. And then when he died, I was kind of put in charge of doing an estate sale. So I didn't do it myself. I hired a company to do it because it was too far away from our house. So they took care of it. And the way, from what I could tell, it was just people came through, and like a yard sale or a garage sale, and they just came and went and bought stuff, and everything that wasn't sold was basically sent off to a clean out service. And then the second one just happened 2 years ago when my mom died, and that was here right next to where I live. And the person came in and did the estate sale that I hired, and my mom did not have a ton of stuff in terms of collectibles and some things. And in that case, it was the same idea. People just kind of came and went, kind of like a regular yard sale, and that was it. But I've seen that sometimes, particularly if an advertised estate sale could have a great deal of equipment and collectibles and things like vintage toys, that there could be a very huge interest in that estate sale. So what I've seen is done, and I'm curious to see if this is what happens today. Is what sometimes seems to happen is that people show up early, they wait till the start of the sale, and I believe the estate sale runner does a thing like they draw straws or they pick a number, and they have a card with a number on it, and everybody picks a card, and whatever your number is the order at which you can go in. I don't know what if it's like the person who gets number one goes in for, I don't know if they go in for 30 seconds, for a minute, for 5 minutes. I don't know what the deal is. But I know it's like an order, because sometimes, if you've advertised things and people know that this particular sale, there are specific items that they want to buy, then that might happen. So we're going to see what happens. All right. There are not a lot of vintage things. It was a vintage Star Wars game I saw. They did a video, and I saw a few photos on the website, and I saw that there was a vintage game, a remote controlled R2D2. Have no idea if it has all the parts to it, if it works. And of course, these estate sale people were putting a lot of Star Trek things together and saying, "Hey, we got some Star Wars stuff here." And I'm like, "It's Star Trek, not Star Wars." But and then there's a lot of '90s stuff. I noticed 90s to early 2000s, maybe up as far as 2010s. So I'm gonna check out what they have and what they're asking, and we're gonna see what's there. Now, this may be only day one of the auction, because I know that the way estate sales run, at least the ones that I did it, the two that I was involved with, or at least indirectly involved with, they will they'll price everything for the first day, and then they'll have it like maybe 25% off the second day, 50% off the third day, or stuff like that. So I may go back again tomorrow to see how things are. There might be some things I want to pick up today if I can. Or look, for all I know, I might draw the low number or the high number, like number 10 or 15, and by the time I get in there, everything would have been sold off. So who knows? So I'm just going to share my experience with you. All right, so I'm pulling into the post office right now, and I'm making a donation. So Whatnot has changed their shipping policy rules, because the post office has changed the shipping rates, and now flat rate is no longer going to be a thing that is lucrative anymore, because the way the flat rate shipping thing isn't going to work. So I am going to go in and donate, because I picked up most of my flat rate boxes from there, so I'm going to bring them back, so I have saved some room. All right, so let's take care of this, and then we'll be on our way. There's no steering wheel. Okay, so the number is 30. Beautiful house. But we'll see what's in there. Well, I guess that means there's like 29 people there. I thought it was random, but that's okay. My first time. I'm just researching today. We'll see how it goes. It's a beautiful neighborhood, really. Ooh, sorry. Wow, Hess trucks, man. Whoa. That's a lot of Hess trucks. Yeah. There's some guys here. He's cute. He's not Star Wars, but he's making Disney on Star Wars, so it counts. It tracks. Yeah, it looks like people already got through. Oh. Camera gear. Okay. There you go. Anything? Finding anything? Oh, there you go.
In the box.
It's more of a baby one.
Oh yeah, baby shoes. Yeah.
But this is Cabbage Patch Doll clothing.
Hungry hippos.
Yeah, remember that?
Oh my God, I had that one.
But this one had no damn
Oh.
prices. How are you supposed to know?
I guess you just kind of tally up.
Okay, put this one right here. What is in the red box?
I don't know.
And this bracelet in the black box, please.
And this is this Tigers also.
Lots of micro machines.
On Tigers right here.
And if you have
Rebel blockade runner. Let's see this.
That was
Tigers.
Tigers.
I think
That was Tigers.
if I'm not mistaken.
Black box.
I help you out. Here, Tigers. And this is Tigers. Thank you very much. Take this and put it inside. Can I see this Takara? Yeah, we're gonna put this out of the door.
The bracelet, black box,
Can I see?
silver.
1 round, 2 years.
Your last.
Ask me.
I'm gonna put in my video and do it.
Putting it.
Here,
Hey, you wanna bring it up for me? You wanna bring it up for me? So I got the thing, so that's fine.
58 is modern.
I have one.
Yes, you are.
There we go.
Yeah, I learned this. Otherwise, that's only red.
Oh, all right.
It's on the floor. It's red.
Your name?
Yeah.
And don't have a price on it. All right, keep checking around here. Oh, do I want to get into the miniatures? Ugh. No Force Unleashed. Jeez. Yeah, maybe not.
Actually, you can fill a bin. We want the bin back. You can fill a bin and take it up. You can even carry it to the car in your bin. Just bring the bin back. You're gonna need it at the end. That's one for that.
All right. Well, the Ghostbusters got taken right before me. If I'd gone to the garage first, I would have gotten it. I think I'm going to grab this though. Not Star Wars, but Star Wars adjacent. What I don't know is if this is part of this or not. Actually, I think this is part of this. And that is part of that. Like I'm looking. Immortals. What do we got here? Robotics. Starbird Command Base. It's not Star Wars, but ooh. Excuse me, sir. Sorry. Santa suit. Oh. And okay. I think. And look, a Carmen Gia needs a little work. Crazy. I like them, but unless they're complete or in the box. This one looks like it's actually unopened. Or now it's got it's got 48. I mean, the Transformer, they're cool. Just, it's, this thing works. 48. All right, I think we've got we've done our damage. Just double checking here if anything unusual. Yeah, these are great, but they're kind of pricey. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess you could say it was a good day. So the estate sale, my first one, I can't say for a certainty if I was financially successful. I think I'm definitely at a break-even point. I don't think I overspent on anything, so that's a good thing. So while I'm talking, I'll do the overlay video, what you can see what I picked up, and pretty much all of it's going to be in a sale if it's smaller size. Okay, there are a few items that are pretty big that I'm not sure yet what I want to do with. I came this close to getting the Ghostbusters Firehouse and Ecto-1. This close. Had I gone right and gone into the garage, which they invited me to do, I would have gotten it. But I went left and went into the house instead. And then a few minutes into it, I saw somebody doing, walking in with both the Firehouse in the box and the Ecto one. Not that I'm not upset. I'm not a collector of Ghostbusters, so I'm not that concerned about it. So, let's walk through it, shall we? All right, so I arrived, as you saw, with about 20 or 30 people ahead of me. And apparently, I don't know if it was something that was done if you log on to the estate sales site, okay? But they will actually let you text ahead to get a number, which I think is kind of weird, because here's what happened. So I walk in and my number, I go to the front, and there's a little Tupperware. It's kind of very like low tech. There's a little Tupperware with a card in it, and my card was number 30, as you saw. And then I got in line and I waited. Well, but I counted, and there were not 29 people. There were maybe 18 people. So it was like 10 people not accounted for. That means that 10 people texted a number and didn't show up. So, I mean, it didn't matter. It was good for me, because that meant that I and the rest of the people around me could get in sooner. So they had the garage open. They said you could go into the garage, or you can go when it was my turn to go in, which was not. They opened the doors at 10 a.m. and I walked in at 10:04. There was only a handful of people ahead of me, and I think the guy running the sale was like, "Oh, I guess where's number 11? Where's number 12?" And he was like, "You know what? You guys are here. You guys come in. Just give them your numbers." And then he did, because I think the house was big enough that you could have as many as like probably 35, 40 people in there at any given time. So if you do get a higher number and the house is fairly large in size, you might get in right away. And it's a house. It's not like you're not at a big warehouse where everything's kind of laid out in tables like nice and neat. It's a house. They set up whatever they can on folding tables, any flat surface, countertops, couches, beds. They all have stuff on them of everything. And it wasn't. And another thing that was kind of cool was that, I had walked in and I had my Rogue One shirt and my Star Wars hat, and this other guy who's fancies himself a pro. He kind of says to me, "Well, dude, you're just advertising what you're looking for. You need to be more covert." And I'm laughing because I've been watching Storage Wars, and I'm like, they're all like that. They're all like Storage Wars. They're just kind of like, I mean, they weren't trying to intimidate you. They were the people that do this a lot, and they're like, "Oh, amateur," Okay. And you're right, I am an amateur. But I can assure you that my Star Wars shirt and hat had no bearing on anything, because, number one, everything was priced. And I heard of the people ahead of me that were trying to, wheel and deal, and they were not taking it because it's the first day of the sale. Which leads me to believe that, so maybe on the second or even the third day of the sale, if there's anything left over, which there were, I'll get to that. There might be some wiggle room if I come back. So I'm thinking about that. Not sure if we're going to do it yet, because I picked up a lot of stuff. So, I go through, and it wasn't like there was a lot of Star Wars, but it wasn't all in one place. There was Star Wars in the basement. There was Star Wars in the living room. There was Star Wars in the family room. There was Star Wars in the bedrooms, plural, multiple bedrooms. So I wanted to be absolutely certain, and I kind of circled the whole thing. So the best thing I could do is I grabbed a bag from my car. I'm so glad I did that, because I went through and I walked around, and look, there was very little of high value. I'm not looking at anything that I'm expecting to pay the price I paid and make 10 times the amount. But I think that the prices were mostly reasonable enough that I could do just above breaking even or better. There was modern. We had a few Beanie Babies. They were like $3 each. I said, I'll buy that. I'll pick them up. Sometimes if I pick things up, and as I said, I do like kind of like a macro view of the whole thing. And if I paid a little more for this item, but I paid a little less for that item, the money I make on that item will pay for the extra on this item. It's just all the stuff you do. Anyway, so there was a lot of in terms of vintage, I found and again, you'll see the video while I'm talking, so you'll know better than me. I'm trying to commit to memory everything that I picked up. There were a lot of vintage items. There was a lot of vintage toys in general. So I picked up a few things. I picked up the Battle Command game, the small one, the battle game, the electric game with the box, a little damaged, but for what they were asking, I think I can make my money back. They had the R2-3PO talking alarm clock. I am not sure if the talking alarm clock works, but it's still a cool piece. I picked up, they had, this one I was excited about, a Darth Vader blow-up bot bag, which those things are very, very expensive. And I think I got $10. I paid $10 for it. I don't know. It was deflated. I don't know if it's inflated. I will inflate it. I have the R2 one. It's got a very, very slowly. I don't even know if it's got a leak, honestly. It just might, the air might eventually, dissipate from it. It may not be a full-out leak. I don't know. So I'll check the Vader one. If it is something that can inflate, it would have been an excellent purchase. And if not, I could repair it and sell it as a repaired one. But whatever. That was a good one. I was happy about that. I think those were mainly the vintage items in terms of Star Wars. There was a couple of other non-Star Wars, though. There was a tin that was filled with black hole figures, a couple of black hole figures, a couple of Battlestar Galactica Cylons. So I grabbed all of them. Some of them were in pieces, some of them were not complete, but I still believe that they're. I have the Maximilian, not the droid, the robot, the actor Maximilian Schell or whatever. I forget what it, Doctor whatever. He had his legs separated from his body, from his torso. So I'm going to look up how to repair that, and then I'll have a complete figure with that. There was a Starbird. There were 2 Starbirds, so I grabbed both of those. I was thinking about the command base, but it had it in the box, but I wasn't sure yet. So down in the basement, there were tons of Christmas stuff, and guess what? They had a ton of Star Wars ornaments. So I picked. They were $6 each, I think. So I picked up about almost 20 of them. All right, which I know is a little high. I think I could have probably. I bet you if I go back there, I would have gotten it. I left a few of them. I just got the ones I really like. But you know what? I have never done a Whatnot show close to Christmas. I did it like right on top of Christmas. But I think when I get into October, November, I'm going to do some holiday-themed Whatnot shows with those ornaments. I know Star Wars Daddy, you might be interested in some of these. So if you're watching this and you want to make me a deal, I paid $6 a piece. I don't know if you want to make me a deal on them. Look at the video. If there's anything you like, you can make me a $1 more offer, like $7. I'll probably take you on it. All right, but otherwise I'm going to run them in the show. But yeah, there was so much Christmas stuff. It was crazy. They had blow molds and everything. And this was not priced to move. This was priced for profit, which is fine. Most estate sales do start at a higher end and then they work their way down as we go. Now, this particular estate company did not actually commit to that. I asked them when I was checking out, I said, so do you guys offer like a 20% off or 25% off the next day, 50% off the next day? And like, well, we just have to see what they bring. So I'm going to wait till Sunday, because here's what they had. They had Star Wars miniatures, like a ton. Whoever was there, they loved the little Star Wars miniatures. I'm talking about I guess it's a game, like a tabletop game, and they included all these amazing miniature ships, all different sizes. They had dozens and dozens and dozens of them, but they were priced as if they were new on the shelf. Like the Executor Starship was like $120. It was like crazy high. So I guess they kind of priced it for what they're going for on eBay or whatever. So I don't know. There was not a lot of people looking at them. There was also some modern figures. I picked up a few clones. They were like $15 a piece, which is a little high, but I only had picked up like 3 of them. Some Revenge of the Sith clones were like $8 a piece. Again, just so I can get some modern clones. I get people asking me for clones, and I'll get some of my money back on that. But there was a lot of Power of the Force 2. I think I caught 1 or 2 of Episode 1. Shadows of the Empire one was in there. They had, I did grab the A-Wing. There was a modern Power of the Force A-Wing, which I'll grab and I'll run. Only because I know it's the same mold as the original A-Wing, which is the highly sought after one. So I think someone will pay a decent amount for the reproduced one. So yeah, I was really excited about it. I thought it was my first estate sale, I thought went really, really well. The one thing I want to talk about before I end this part of the video is that there was one item I saw in the video. I will tell you this. best thing I did. I found out about this through estatesale.org or .com, and I had it kind of pre-programmed. I searched for Star Wars, and there were 3 sales. 1 this week, right now, and 2 next week. The one this week was it was a lot of stuff. It was trains, it was Matchbox and Hot Wheels, it was a ton of Ninja Turtles. Whoever this was a big toy collector in general, 80s and 90s. So there was a ton of stuff. I also grabbed a Disney Viewmaster movie kit. It was a big movie kit. I'm just curious about it. I've always loved Viewmaster. It's not hugely valuable, but I grabbed it just to kind of look at it and see if it works, if I can get it to work. That might be just a fun thing to put on. Especially, I didn't look at that. There was a ton of Viewmaster reels in there. If they're all Disney related, I didn't look to see, but I hope that there's some Disneyland or Walt Disney World videos in there. Those little clips, those are so much fun, and we'll throw them up on the wall and watch them there. Anyway, and I got a Mickey Mouse bank. I might run it. I don't know. I might even run it in my Disney sale tonight, just because. Why not? So sorry, you're viewing this if you really wanted the Mickey Mouse bank. Sorry, it wasn't a very valuable thing. You'll probably find it elsewhere. So I was doing all this, and I went upstairs, and there's a 1-bedroom, like a kid's bedroom, and there was a lot of dolls and Cabbage Patch and kind of creepy dolls actually, and there was a bunch of stuff sitting on a bed. Well, the bed, and you might have seen this in the video previous to this as I did the walk around. The bedspread was a Star Wars bedspread, and I saw this. Here's the thing: estate sales, this particular estate place, they ran a video, and a lot of people there did not watch the video. So they might have seen a handful of photos, but they did not watch the video. The video walked through everything. I saw everything that was there, and I made a note of everything I wanted to try to get. And honestly, the only thing I didn't get was the Ghostbusters Firehouse and Ecto-1. I even picked up 2 the 2 of the handles for the proton packs. They're not just the handles, but yeah, they had 2 there. I guess the proton packs, somebody else bought them, but I got the handles. So I figured I'll run them. Somebody might want that, and if not, I'll just put it in a sale. I'll put it in a yard sale. Anyway, so I'm not remembering everything I said, but the bedspread, I was like, Now, I don't know what the heck am I going to do with a bedspread, but I have a lot of the Star Wars sheets. I use them as tablecloths, but the bedspread, I don't know. But I was just like, you know what? I was nice. I went downstairs. I talked to the salesperson. I said, if there is a bedspread that I want, but there's stuff on top of the bed, on the bedspread, can I remove the stuff, take the bedspread, and put the stuff back on the bed? And they said yes. So I went up, and I did that. And I got to tell you, I had like 4 people giving me figurative high fives. Like, dude, that was a steal. I can't believe you grabbed that. That is so awesome. I'm like, I asked permission, and they said yes, and I went and took it. Nobody else seemed to want it. That was the other thing about this estate sale, is that you're not dealing with, there may be 20 people ahead of you, but they're not all Star Wars fans. And they're not all, some of them are antique deals. They were going straight to the kitchen. They were going for the glassware and the dishware and the silverware. And then there were people that were going for videos and CDs and DVDs. And then there were other people that were going for Ninja Mutant Turtle, TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Transformers, Matchbox, Hot Wheels, trains. There was people going for all different stuff. So now there were a couple of guys there that were grabbing Star Wars, and then they were into more they wanted micro machines. I was like, ugh. I have had some success with micro machines, but not that much. So it's something that I just kind of said, you know what, I'm going to leave that alone. So where does that leave us? We are, again, as I said, this is Friday, August 7th. The sale runs 7th, 8th, and 9th. So my plan is, as of right now, we're going to see how things are going. Since Sunday, I'll be doing a sale on Saturday, but I can't go to the post office on Sunday. I may kind of shift things around. Still going to do a sale Friday, still going to do a sale Saturday. But I might go on Sunday, prep my sale in the morning, and then get up and go back to this place and see, or even go a little bit. Well, the thing is, there is something I got to be considerate of. The problem I'm running into, I might have to push my Sunday sale to later, okay? In fact, I think I'm going to think about doing that because the issue is that if I do the sale, I normally do Sunday sales at 3. If I do the sale at 6, then I can go and do this other sale at 3, and go towards the end, go the last hour, and just see. It's a 38-minute drive from my house, so it's not very hard, and I can go and check out stuff. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to do that. I got to take into consideration a lot of things. Okay, but I don't know if I'm going to do it. If I do it, I will video. I'll share it out with you, and I'll tack it on to the end of this video. All right, but overall, my thoughts. I'll give you my final thoughts there. Right now, in case this ends the video, it was great. I'm hooked on estate sales. I do recognize the gamble that one does, just like anything else. Okay, you don't know the quality. There's no refunds. You don't know the quality of the stuff you're getting. But if you walk in there and you go there early, you get the best chance for the best stuff. But you're going to pay higher for those things. So as a reseller, you got to take that into account. From what I've gathered talking to some of the other people that do this all the time, some estate sales are great with wheeling and dealing, bundling and everything. The only time they kind of did that was if you found something without a price. And you said, oh, would you take 10 for it? That's what happened with me with the Vader inflatable bot bag. There wasn't a sale. There wasn't a sale. There wasn't a price on something. So there you go. And these people, it is a little bit hodgepodgey and kind of crazy and chaotic because, think about a house, right? It's a house. It's not a warehouse. It's just a home. People lived in this. It is not designed to have, imagine being at a party, right? 40 people in the house at a party. Every room taken up, every space, upstairs, downstairs, basement. There are people everywhere. And they set up a little table, like a little folding table, and they set up 2 people that were checking people out by hand, writing stuff, adding it up, doing either cash sales in a cash box or Venmo, which I did. And there are people. There's no place to line up. There's no place to set up. There's no, they did have a holding table, so you can put anything is on the holding tables off limits. That's good, because once my bag got full, I'm like, uh-oh. So I put it on the holding table, and then we went from there. It was fun. It was energetic. People were nice. I met a nice woman who sells vintage clothing on Whatnot, so we were, talking together about that. Another guy said, there are a lot of familiar faces. I didn't know them personally, but I've seen them. I've seen them at toy shows. I've seen them at flea markets. I think this is where a lot of flea market people get their stuff. They go to estate sales. They pick up a bunch of stuff. I saw people were getting kind of angry at each other over by the jewelry. They had a guy separate working the jewelry table, and people were picking up things and looking at them and putting them down and picking them up and putting them down. You can wait. I know this for a fact that you can wait till the end of the sale, the last day of the sale, and go. But you do, and you probably will get better deals because you got to remember, just like anything else, this isn't even like a toy show or a flea market where some people oh, I don't want to put the stuff back on the truck. But I'll put it back on the truck because, I'll do next week. Maybe it'll sell in next week's sale. No, these are people that this is the only day of the sale, these 3 days. This is the only frame. They want to sell it. They have to sell it. If they don't sell it, then they got to, now the owners want it out because they don't want to have to do a clean out service. The more stuff that's out, the better. And they would rather have $20 in hand than pay $400 or more to get stuff cleaned out. So there's a benefit to going at the end. I know that for a fact. But I would have been shocked if any of the stuff that I picked up here today would have still been there on Sunday. Having said that, there are a few items I left behind. Quite a few. There was a whole Star Wars rack of stuff, but it was mostly modern, mostly stuff that I haven't had too much luck selling for high numbers on Whatnot. But, number one, if I can get it for essentially $1 a piece or $2 a piece, I can make some money. Or I could put that in my inventory for my yard sale next year. So there's all sorts of options available. So I am definitely planning at this point to go there on Sunday. But we'll see. If it cuts to the closing credits, I didn't make it. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the items. So stick around to see if I made it to the second day of the show or the last day. I was going to go tomorrow, but I'm like, you know what? I think tomorrow I'm going to find the same boat. So maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do both. I don't know. We'll see. I got to plan it. I'm because it's so close. I am kind of curious. So and I've got time. So and it's not like I can run around and do estate sales all the time. So this is definitely one I want to check out. So maybe I'll go tomorrow. Maybe I'll go Sunday too. I don't know. We'll see. Thanks so much for watching. If I don't see you anymore, see you in the next video. May the force include you with you. And we're back, but this is not what you think. This is not a video about going back to the yards or to the estate sale. No. This is another thing that just came up. Apparently, while I was at the estate sale, I found out that I won an auction house auction, and they wanted me to come and pick up the items. It's not a lot. It's more a papery, ephemera kind of Star Wars stuff. They wanted me to pick it up on Sunday or Monday, and then Sunday or Monday are kind of busy, and I got these shows going on, and I thought, you know what, I'm out and about right now, my wife's out doing stuff, my daughter's out doing stuff, can I run and pick it up now? And they said, yes! So I went to East Stroudsburg, PA, which is about an hour and 20 minutes from my house, to go and pick up some Star Wars ephemera to put in future shows, or to put in the collection. So, it was a very cheap price, and this is one of those auction houses that, they take their premium, but I think I paid $57 for everything, and I got to go pick it up, which I guess is gas money to include in that too. But I was pretty happy with the price and what was offered, so I'm going to grab that now. So I'm inserting this into my estate sale video. So I'll show you the stuff right in one moment. Okay, guys, we made it. So this ended up being another estate-related auction. I wanted to give you a little background on it, and while I'm talking, you'll see the items that I picked up. So apparently this was a settlement estate sale, which leads me to believe that either A, there was some kind of a lawsuit, and whoever owned this home and everything in it, decided to, or had to do, some kind of sell-off to pay off some type of a settlement of some sort. It could have also been a death that occurred similar to other estate sales, except that in this case, the person who died owed a lot of money, and they had to sell off all the items within the home. They had to sell the home and everything in the home to help pay for the estate. I don't know for sure. I just know it was a settlement estate as I was looking at the paperwork more clearly. Because when I drove up, I thought I was going to an auction house. No, I wasn't going to an auction house. I was going to a house. So when I pulled into this place, it's like I'm going into this backwoods area, and I'm starting to hear the dueling banjos in my head, like I'm in Deliverance or something. I'm like, where the heck am I going? Who lives here? And I pulled in, and I'm like, did I get the right place? Did the app? Sometimes, GPS could be wrong. So I started. Then a kid, and I mean a kid, stepped out and said, yeah, no, you're right. This is the house. I was like, oh, okay. And he knew that apparently I wasn't alone. There was like 2 or 3 other people that were working out sales. Well, apparently this person, whoever it was a bit of a Star Wars collector and had a couple of items for sale. Unfortunately, I was not able to win the other items. I kind of wish I stayed in them though, because it looked like this was a guy who had some pretty cool stuff. However, I will say this. The 2 items that I won were the top 2 items that I wanted. They were essentially a bunch of paper products like Presto Magics, but 1980 Presto Magics. Now, a lot of people have the Return of the Jedi ones. These are the Empire Strikes Back ones, and a lot of other just ephemera paper product stuff for that are all vintage. Some binders and some spiral bound books and stuff. So that's kind of cool. Some of that stuff will probably stay in the collection, whilst others of it will go in sale. Probably this week, so this is kind of a cool, like, odds and ends kind of thing. And then the other one was mostly puzzles. There was a lot of puzzles. I do not know if the puzzles are complete. If there is time, I will try to put them together. If they're 150 or less puzzles, I can usually do that within like a half an hour. If they are like 500 or 1,000 piece puzzles, no. Those are like day or week long projects. So I will run them, and you buyer beware that they might not be complete. So you'll see other items that are in there. I would say most of these items will go out for resale. There may be a couple of items here and there that I might hold on 2. Even the Presto Magic, if I hold on to them, I'll hold on to like 1 or 2 for myself, and I'll run the rest. So you should expect to see those. So yeah, I was excited that was it, but it wasn't in fact another estate sale. So I guess that goes along with our theme of estate sales. So at this point, I'm going to turn it back to either the end of the video, or let's see if we make it back to that other estate sale, and if in fact we get any other deals. Well, here we are, another morning. It is now Saturday, August 8th, and I keep tagging on videos to this video because this adventure keeps getting more and more interesting. So, hello, welcome to Darth Tuba, Star Wars Unboxing Show video continued. Welcome back. And we are, basically, I'm on my way to the post office to drop off last night's Whatnot Show items to get sent out. Then, in the midst of yesterday, I was able to secure a purchase on a marketplace sale in a town down the street, next door to ours, which is great because marketplace things don't typically happen right next door. So that's fun. It makes it easier. And ironically, it was somebody who, we worked out the deal through Messenger, and once we agreed to a price and a time to go pick it up and everything, he said, "Oh, by the way," he said, do you happen to be Darth Tuba on Whatnot?" And I said, yes, I am. Apparently, now mine, obviously my name on Facebook Messenger is not Darth Tuba, so, but I guess this person had purchased stuff from me, and he mentioned that, and I guess he remembered the address, so that was kind of fun. And I did remind him, that for anybody who's like in a town next door, I would happily, I would recommend that they do free pickup. We can arrange a place to meet to drop the stuff off, or I would even drive to them, at some point. So, especially if it's only like 20 minutes away. But anyway, that was kind of funny because you forget that, sometimes you think about all these items that you're selling on your online presence on YouTube and whatnot, and I'm shipping stuff all over the country and sometimes in other places across the world, and you don't realize that every so often you're dealing with somebody who is right next door. I remember the same kind of thing happened to me when I first started my YouTube channel. I went to my local diner, and the guy who was serving me, he looks at me and he's like, "Are you Darth Tuba?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am." I mean, I don't have a lot of people watching my show, so to have somebody recognize me and it be somebody local, that's crazy, So anyway, all right. So after dropping off the stuff and going and doing that and picking up, and I'll show you the items that I picked up. It's a couple of figures and a couple of vehicles and creatures and stuff, just stuff to kind of fill the inventory. Then I'm going to go and check out that same estate sale that I was at yesterday. I'm not really planning on making any purchases. I just want to check because my ultimate goal is that I want to go back on Sunday. There's enough product there that it's worth going back and seeing it, even if you end up going back on Sunday and there's nothing there. Okay, and it was you're out the gas money. And here's why: because it's an estate sale. It's running Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Obviously, Friday was the first day. It was pretty big. It was pretty crowded when I went the first hour. So I don't know how crowded it was getting after that, but there was a lot of stuff being purchased. So I'm more just curious about what is left on the second day. Now, I asked them, as I mentioned, if they will do any kind of discount on the second day, like a percentage off. And they said they don't really make that determination right away. Sounds to me like you basically have to, it's probably going to be the same unless there's nobody there, unless it's like very, very empty, which I don't think it's going to be. So my plan was to go back on Sunday, but I thought, the town I'm going to pick up this marketplace item is very close to where the auction was. So I figured, well, as long as I'm up there, let me take a walk through again, check it out, see how the place looks on day 2. Okay. And then I will see if the Star Wars stuff is there. And if it is still there, and if it, I would assume, unless it's been drastically reduced in price, or if they're saying 50% off all listed prices or something like that, I'm probably just going to leave everything as is, because I don't need, there's some nice stuff, some nice modern stuff. The miniatures are still there as of yesterday. There's some more ornaments. There were a couple of items that I think I could make a profit on, but only if I was able to buy them at much less price than what's listed. Also, I wanted things to kind of thin out, because sometimes things things thin out, and then you look and there was something there that you didn't see the last time. Now, of course, there could have been a ton of people there yesterday that found the things that were hidden already. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I just want to go and check it out. And then my plan was to, assuming that there is assuming A, that there are no discounts today, and B, that there's still Star Wars stuff there as of today, then I would make the trip again tomorrow regardless, and maybe see if I can make an offer on everything that's got a Star Wars label on it and see what they say. Maybe they won't go for it. Maybe it'll all be sold today. If it's all sold today, then the video will end there. But I want to see. This is my first estate sale, honestly. I guess you could say it's my sort of first, because obviously yesterday that pickup I did was actually, I thought it was an auction. It was actually an estate auction. So technically, I guess some of these auctions that I win are estate auctions. But we will see how this goes. All right. So let me run these errands today. I've been pretty happy with the items that have been coming in. I'm going to try to get this video quickly edited and put out at least by maybe Wednesday or Thursday at the latest, so that that means we still have Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night shows for you guys to possibly bid on some of these items. All right, so here we go. On to the next leg of this adventure. Just a sign in, so I'm not sure how many people are here. We'll take a look. There were so many people here yesterday. It was crazy.
It went yesterday. I put some new stuff in today, so it'd be something new here. But everything you see, I had to buy myself, so that you can make $1. And that's a lot of work for me to find this, because the house gave me nothing. This client gave me nothing. Doesn't want to close.
Lincoln Logs. That's great. It's much quieter today. Looks like all the rest of the ornaments went.
those things, she's going to give you 20% off that.
This guy should go on with him.
That's 20% off everything?
Pretty, she said most stuff. I can't tell you what's not.
Excuse me. Car's still here. Nice. Okay. So interesting. Many of the Star Wars things were gone. It looks like most of the Micro Machine stuff had been taken out. The ornaments that were Star Wars themed that I didn't already grab were gone, but a lot of stuff's still there. The miniatures still there. They were running 20% off. I did pick up one item for $10. The fake Star Wars lightsaber. I always loved those because those were, I'm kind of fascinated by the knockoff things that came out in the early 70s in the early 77 when the movie came out and there was nothing ready. They had basically all you could find were like paper related things like puzzles and coloring books and knockoff things or relabeled things like that Kenner might have made for, the $6 Million Man or whatever. Speaking of that, there was a kind of Target Aces game similar to a very, 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 very valuable Target game that you could get in the 70s. But it wasn't the same one. And they were, like I said, I was trying to, mathematically go into my head and, I think it's worth coming back tomorrow. But seeing as how I came at 10 o'clock and they were offering 20%, is my hope that if I come at 10 o'clock tomorrow, they will be offering more than that. And if they do, I might try to make a bundle deal on all the miniatures. That's about the only other thing. And if I come here and the miniatures are sold, okay, that's fine. But still, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. There's still a ton of stuff in that house. I do not see them selling all of it. I think you get your first, and it was much. You saw when I did the video. It was very much a much quieter space. But there was a lot of good stuff that was sold yesterday. So we'll see what happens. I know when I don't know if it came out on film, but there was somebody looked like they were in the garage interested in all the blow molds, which they may be able to make a deal on. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So I will definitely be coming back tomorrow, barring any kind of health issues or emergencies. So we'll see what it looks like in the morning. Okay, guys, day 3. Take a look and see what's going on. I'll be shocked if any of the Star Wars stuff is left, but I never can tell. And if there is any left, we'll see if I can get an offer going. Okay. Yep, and this stuff too. Ooh, I didn't see all this. Oh my god, it's an Atari thing. Any Star Wars things? Donkey Kong Jr., Cubert, Carnival, Mr. Do, Baseball, for 2. Joysticks. Oh my god. Taking me back. No one wants the phones. I mean, you can get some amazing deals, but I've got to say they are kind of highly priced. The price is a little higher than I would consider. All right. Well, problem is that if I add all this up, right, they're looking at it's like $900 worth of stuff. So I don't know if they're going to take a $200 offer, but Success! All the miniatures. We got some of the game pieces, which I don't think are going to be. I think the high end of this are the ships. Okay, there's a whole bunch of singular ones in the bottom there, about 10 of them, I think. Got the Falcon. Now, some of these ships are, Slave One. I think those will be very popular. But I also think that, I don't know if there's a lot of gaming enthusiasts. This one, they wanted 120. So I got way less than that. But the tended to be this beautiful piece. The Imperial Raider. These are meant to be play pieces with games, but the Imperial Assault Carrier, again, we negotiated a bundle deal for everything, so prices there are not what I paid. And then two more. Are they some Imperial Aces and the Rebel Aces? I'm not sure how many there are. Yeah, I think there's just the two. So, pretty good. Okay, so I probably be running these at the end of my marathon. So if anybody's interested, be on the lookout for either the Friday or Saturday show. Well, I was almost done, but I got a few more things. Yeah. Florida man, if you're watching, you got in my head. Matchbox cars. 18 cars in a case, 6 cases. I'll be running a Matchbox car show on Whatnot very soon. In addition to that, we got a video cassette Star Wars trilogy, $3, and 2 Thomas Kincaid Disney paintings. This one's going to my wife because she loves Belle. And this one's going up in our office since our band show theme this year is a Lion King-esque theme show. But there are the Matchbox cars. I'm not going to go through each one, but I'll show you the top one here. Actually, the lid is broken, but you can see these are vintage Matchbox. I did some eBay checking, and they fetch a decent price, so I may try running a few, seeing what happens. And if it's successful, great. And if it's not successful, I might put them on eBay. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, so the thing about the Star Wars miniatures, in thinking about this some more, is that my plan got a little bit skewed. They were at 25% off, okay? Put the car in reverse. Oops. They were at 25% off today. I thought it would be higher. I thought it would be 50%, something like that. So I went in and, it was really just those 4 or 5 larger miniature pieces. They were asking like 120 a piece. So you add it up, and those things come up to like 480. I'm sorry, there were 3, so 360. The rest of them were all like $20 and $15. So they added up, and it all together came to like 540 or something like that, which is just a little high. I mean, it was just, especially, and it was very high when it came to, I have no idea if these things are going to even sell. So I said, that's too high to take a gamble. So I went in with the offer of 200. They came back with 3, I forget what it was, somewhere in the 3s. And I kind of was hemming and hawing a little bit, and I said, you know what? The thing is, here's what got through the monkey wrench. Originally, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, done. They're opening again next Saturday. So, meaning they're going to have one more day. And it's that day that they're going to throw everything down cheaper. I could have held out and thought, well, maybe no one will buy it. I will say there were 2 people kind of like, whoa, kind of looking at what I had. So I don't know if that meant that they were interested, or if they were, they kind of were lingering around whether I was going to make the deal or not. Anybody with a lot of gumption would have just jumped right in and said, hey, if he's not going to offer this, I'll pay full price, or I'll pay 400. And then it would have turned into an auction situation, and I would have lost out. So I thought, okay. And not to mention the fact that next week we are the weekend before band camp starts. I really don't want to make another trip here. There was more Star Wars. I found a bin that was not there. I don't know if I filmed it, but there was a bin that I did not see, and it had, it had a Naboo fighter in it. It had a modern X-wing. It had a couple. It had a couple of the pieces of the old play sets, like the indoor play set, those little ones with the trees and the bunker. But it was all pieces, and I said, this is not something that, I don't even want to know what they're asking, but this is not something I'm going to be able to make any money on. Downstairs, there was just like one of those Naboo speeders and a swoop bike and the Vader bank, which again, it's too big to try to move on whatnot. So, and I already own one for my collection, so I don't really need that. So, I did all these things, and I'm like, okay, I want this to be my last day of this estate sale. I want to close the book on it. I want to get the video, thing. So I said, let's just do it. So those miniatures, they're going to be on. I'm aiming for Friday show. The Matchbox cars, I may run a second show. I may run 2 shows. I may run a real quick, try to do a Matchbox show and promote it, and run it at $4 starts for each one. Just try to knock them all out, and then from there connect. Do that for a couple of hours, and then do another one, or do I don't know if maybe I will get a show in on Sunday. I don't know. Maybe there'll be an 11th show, or maybe I'll do a daytime show on next week. At some point, there will be a Matchbox show. So if you know anybody who's interested in Matchbox, make sure they go to my channel. Or go to Darth Tuba 77 on the Whatnot app and look. I'm sure there's a Matchbox or diecast cars, thing, and we'll go from there. Okay, and they can follow me and look for the bookmarked show. It'll be a dedicated Matchbox show because there's 100 cars in there. I can't, that's something I can't do that and Star Wars. It's just too much. So I'll do that on a separate day, and we'll see what happens. All right, so, sorry about that. So we, as we're wrapping things up, I will say I did do a very short 47-minute detour to the Columbus flea market, and I did find a few items. I'll put them in insert here. Basically, a couple of vintage collection figures, a few retro collection figures, and it was a kind of a damaged box set of these little mini Funko Pops that I am considering either doing as part of the giveaways or something of that nature. So that was very good. Okay, so final thoughts on the estate sale adventure that was this weekend. Well, first of all, I will say that my having been, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier in the video, but having been on both sides of this, I cannot help but go in with a sympathetic, opinion about how estate sales are run. What I mean by that is, I've done 2 estate sales. My father-in-law, and that one, it was an outside company, just like this one. They came in, they set everything up. I wasn't in the house at all. They did it, and that was it. And then I came home. I came back to the home, and a bunch of stuff was still there. Then there was my mom. When she passed away, we did an estate sale here. It was a different company, just really a guy who ran it. And, he came for a week. He set it all up. I lived next door, but he asked me not to be there during the sale. I don't know why. I wanted everything out as much as he would, And he kept, it was very analog. He kept a lot of things on paper and pencil, as this company did. And, there wasn't a ton of people. Just like today, it seemed like it was very busy the first day, and then it was the second and third day seemed like very, car goes in, car goes out. Stuff sells, but, when a house is filled with a lifetime full of items, you're not going to get rid of all of it. So when my mom's estate sale happened, the guy was kind of reneged on his original agreement, which was do the sale, clean it out, we'll run it Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I can have an option for him to run it Sunday, and then he cleans everything else out. And for that, it was like 30% of whatever was sold. Well, we got to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then he reaches out to me on Saturday, and he says, can you come down so we can settle? And I was like, oh, okay. What about the whole, what if I want to opt for you to be here again tomorrow? He's like, no, I'm not doing it, and I'm not cleaning it out. It just wasn't a very successful sale, and I just can't do it. And he just got in his car and he left. So I wasn't really all that impressed with him, and I felt that, okay, I think I could do a better job. So I literally ran the sale another weekend. I put out advertisements, I put out photos, and I did it. And we made just as much money as he did the week before. My brother and I did it, and we sold everything. Like, there was only like 10 items left over when we were done, and collectively. So, I think estate sales are kind of, you got to be careful with who runs them. I didn't think this company that ran it was all not, was bad or anything. I thought they were fine. I just thought that some of their prices were a little bit high for trying to clean out a house. I get it; they get a percent, so there's going to be a desire to run it, run high prices, and then you lower them each day, and unfortunately they only lowered them a little bit. They lowered it was 20% off yesterday, and then 25% off today. I mean, the way I've seen it in a lot of places that I've heard about, and the one we did it ourselves was, 100% the first 100% of the ticket price, then 75%, then 50%, then 25%. So I don't know. So as I said, they kind of threw a loop in my plan by wanting to run the sale again next week. Now, I suppose that I could. It was only going to be one day next week. It was going to be next Saturday. I suppose that I could have come back. I could have risked that nobody would have bought the stuff, and it's possible. But I also have to take into account gas, time. I'm still running. I still have, at the time of this recording, 7 more shows to run. Whatnot shows. I'm really happy for the Matchbox cars because I've decided I'm gonna run that as one of the shows, probably midweek. I might actually do that because I know most people watching this are Star Wars fans, so I don't know if I need. I will make sure this video goes out before, probably the day of, and we'll try it there. Anyway, so yeah, but I overall I was happy with it. I thought it was okay. I think I got some good deals. I think I will be able to make a profit on some of these. So, and it was cool to see. It was weird that there was some vintage stuff and a lot of modern stuff. It leads me to believe that maybe there was some more vintage stuff somewhere that maybe they worked out ahead of time, like that I said earlier. But anyway, so I will do estate sales again. There were 2 more listed in upcoming sales, and they're actually taking place next weekend. I'm not going to video. I'm not planning on going, but if I do go, I'm not going to video. I'll only video a sale, an estate sale, if it's like mega Star Wars stuff, and they're so rare that, even this one, this is like beam, get ready to beam aboard for a great Star Wars sale, which clearly shows that the estate sale people don't know that it's what the difference between Star Trek and Star Wars. It's all Star Trek. They probably thought it was Star Wars, but it's all Star Trek. So I don't know. I'm like, So I would do estate sales again, but I have to do research and find ones that have a lot of toys, a lot of Star Wars related or other with Star Wars. And I picked up the Matchbox cars too. As I said, I'll do a Matchbox show. I'm a little bit nervous about doing that. I have no knowledge of Matchbox cars. I'm probably going to try to see if I have time, set up a list of what each one is, and then just kind of go through them one at a time and see how that goes. And I'll report back, let everybody know how it goes. You can check it out if you want, if you're into Matchbox cars. But I don't know if there's going to be a whatnot presence for Matchbox cars. It could be a complete, total dud. If there are no purchases, then I'll just cancel the show early. And I'll put them on eBay. I'll make a whole listing for them one at a time on eBay. So we'll go from there. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it. Thank you for being along this journey with me today, yesterday, the day before. My goodness, we went to 2 estate sales, essentially, or a estate sale and a estate sale auction pickup. We did 3 days at this sale and made three sets of purchases. One big, one little, one big. And, I'm confident. I will say that the Vader bot bag does have a leak in it. It does blow up, and then it very quickly goes back down. Not quickly like within 2 seconds, but quickly like within, 25 minutes, it's back down to almost nothing. So I'll look up how to repair that if I really want to, or maybe I'll just run it and let someone else do it. I don't know, we'll see. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the notification button, tag me on Instagram and Bluesky and TikTok, and of course whatnot. And I hope to see you on the social. Leave comments, thumbs up, all that stuff. We'll see you in the next video. Until next time, may the Force and the toys be with you, and good hunting.
From the dawn of long ago, if the Empire calls, we're answering with toys. May the Force and the toys